Ball in my court, high step is a layup.
Off the fake to Jameson Williams. Goff going deep, wide open, touchdown.
Goff for the end zone, catch made, that's a touchdown. Amon-Ra, St. Brown.
Here's a blitz. Can Rodgers beat it? Big ball downfield, and it is intercepted by Kirby Joseph. Here's Dak in the pocket. He's slammed down by Hutchinson, and the rookie has his fourth sack of the season. Justin Jackson inside the 10 to the 5. He dives for a Lions touchdown.
Pressure. Rodgers steps away, throws, it's intercepted again! It's Joseph again! Kirby Joseph having the game of his season here today.
Ball in my court, high step is a layup. My life like a movie, just keep moving, it's a trailer. Shopping in my kitchen, got me trying to get my cake up. I thank God for all this coming to me now.
Man, I want to kick this season off like tonight, honestly. Whenever I watch the Lions stuff, I am known as the ultimate Lions cynic. I get criticized up and down, and there's some fairness to it, but also, let's face it, they've been terrible forever, and certainly my entire life, and unless you're like 96 years old, your life too. But this is sort of a rare territory now, where we're going into a season where not only are we not defeatist, not only are we finding some pathway to this maybe working out in an ideal world and situation, we are in uncharted territory in my lifetime where we are expecting to win the division, and anything shy of that would be borderline catastrophic. And you can always count on me to temper the enthusiasm and tamp it down a little bit. And it's not because I'm trying to be a wet blanket, but because I'm terrified. They've broken my heart 1,001 times, and I don't trust them. But somebody that I love and cherish and respect in the football realm is a little bit more optimistic than me, which is a low bar to clear. My good friend, Natalie Sparbeck, your debut, it's great to finally have you. You beat your dad to the chair. It's great to finally have you here, honestly.
Well, I'm very happy to be here, so thank you, Justin. It's an honor.
So I would say anybody that follows both of us, and there's a pretty good, solid core in the center of that Venn diagram, we are the yin and the yang. I really feel that way, and I love you. You're my complete opposite. I have a tweet shitting on the Lions for taking a running back. You have a tweet mocking people for shitting on the Lions for taking a running back. It's kind of like it's not just that we disagree. It's like the exact inverted take to the point where it's almost like coordinated. I feel like
Sure.
it's not, but you could fool some people. Okay, we all understand where we're at with this. So, Ben, put up the NFC North division odds. This is updated as of this morning. It's been pretty much in this realm for the past few months. This is going to set the table. So, clear-cut favorite at this point, the Detroit Lions plus 140, Vikings 275, Bears and Packers now tied for third favorites at plus 400. So that is not prohibitive, but that's a healthy favorite, and the keynote there at the bottom. First time favored to win since 1992. This division. This is kind of crazy. Were you even born yet? I was 5 years old. I mean, this is kind of wild territory, right?
It's wild territory, and I don't want to give away my age, but I was born at this point.
Barely.
Just barely.
Does that scare you? Does that stat, when you look at that, is there any element of this where it's like, shit, it's the Lions, even though we're the clear-cut favorite, you got that little line at the bottom that this shit, we're never in this situation. We never have won it since then as well. It's 93, actually. But does that scare you at all? Do you buy this sort of ominous dark cloud, or is that just a bunch of garbage, in your opinion?
No, I don't think it's a bunch of garbage. I'm not scared. I'm not scared at all. People watching are going to be laughing, being like, oh my God, this bitch. But no.
How is that possible, though? How are you not? I'm fascinated by it, honestly.
Because what is there anything to be scared about? we have gone through misery for 60 years. Like us combined, that's how long, our ages combined. That's essentially how long that this has gone on. And I kind of am at that point where I'm like, let's just embrace it. Like, why not? And I think when it comes to hype train, this is not Detroit that has started this. It's the national media. And this started, I would say, week 12 last year. I think it was kind of like the turning point was that Buffalo game, was Thanksgiving. A lot of stuff went down in that game, and we could have won that game. But in your lifetime, you tell me when the national media has acted this way. I mean, we have been a laughing stock to this.
It's never happened.
Never.
In my lifetime.
Never.
We deserved it in the 11-5 year, and we just didn't get it. That was it was a joke that was a road wildcard team that won 11 games. Like, 9 times out of 10, you go 11-5, you're at least hosting the wildcard game. And that was one of the best defenses of the past 10 years by PFF. It was like the second best defense in a decade. Yeah. And they had Stafford, Reggie Bush, Calvin Johnson, Pettigrew when he was like still pretty good, Golden Tate, like that team, like a solid offensive line. That was the one team that I thought was really, really good in my lifetime, like really good. And they just didn't get it done, and they came a hair shy. But in terms of the hype and situation, this was only the second time we've had a good team, in my opinion, and the first time we've ever been in the hype train boat.
Sure. I mean, this is wild. Like, for you to turn on, or anybody to turn on NFL Network or ESPN, and you hear people like Mina Kimes and Stephen A. talking about the Lions, I mean, it just doesn't happen. That never happens, and it's happening, and it's daily, and it's regular, and it's everywhere. And that's where I think, like, the national media has allowed for all of us to breathe and be like, whoa, like, maybe there is something here. And I think also it's the first time, and don't tell me the Caldwell era was the same, because I will disagree with you till the sun sets, but that we have hope, like true, real hope. And I understand hope is not a strategy. That's not a real thing. But what Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes are doing is giving everybody hope. And whether it's who they're drafting, how they're drafting, going outside the grain, like with the Jahmyr Gibbs, I just think it's an overwhelming sense of hope. And then the national media on top of it has created, okay, like, this is for real. That being said, there's standards that are set. The expectations are higher than ever. So we got to deliver. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is going to be, it's going to be interesting. But my whole take being, why not? Other than we can sit here and we can say, okay, this is 60 years of misery and our dads who are just pissed off curmudgeons and oh my God, like, okay, then fine, then don't watch. But like, the people that are in.
I'm with them. I'm with the curmudgeon dads, but I'm going to watch. I'm not quite as cynical as maybe Jazzy Jeff, your dad, and my own dad, and I'm not quite to that level, but they got some years on me, obviously. I get constantly accused of being a Lions hater. They've hurt me so many times. It's not. I'm dying for them to be good. Please,
sure,
be wrong. I've never rooted more hard against a take in my life as a sports fan and commentator than the Dan Campbell take specifically. I want so badly to be wrong about that. In a vacuum last year, I said the under 5.5 was the best bet in Vegas. I couldn't believe that number. And I was dancing on the grave when they were like 1-6, 1-7. I took a premature victory lap. I looked dumb.
You were so happy, Justin.
I was not happy. I enjoyed dunking on people that mocked me, and the people that mocked me got the last laugh. But I still have a chance to, in terms of the take it the last laugh, because I always said it when Dave Burkett was here, before Campbell coached his first game.
Sure.
Burkett sat in that chair. And I never said Dan Campbell stinks is going to win 4 games. Now, he was a year early on the timeline. I said he was going to be very similar to Caldwell. If you get player buy-in in this league, if the players just don't hate you and you're not a complete nincompoop, like, you're going to win 8 or 9 games. Half the leagues in open mutineers quit on their coach. So and I don't think they'll ever quit on him. So I don't view him as a Rod Marinelli, and I never did. Can he hit that next level? I don't know. I want to put this in context. Ben, can you play our little graphic there, or throw up our graphic on it's been a while to put in context of what we're talking about here. It has been a long time, since 1993, that the Detroit Lions have won this division. This is what it looked like.
Oh, wow,
I Will
Whitney.
Always Love You, rest in peace, Whitney Houston, was the #1 song that year. Jurassic Park, released, iconic. Jordan and the Bulls complete their first three-peat. And look at Dan. Not the best high school picture of him, but that was the only one available. Dan Campbell was a senior in high school.
I don't know how you acquired that
And
picture.
he's not like year one Sean McVay. He's not an old guy, but he's not year one Sean McVay. He's kind of old. So this is, I mean, Jurassic Park, Whitney Houston was on top of the world. Like Dan Campbell was in high school, like thinking about who I'm thinking of prom. It's been a long time. We haven't seen this really. I mean, I was 6. I don't remember that. I didn't really watch the Lions intently until like 1995. So you don't really ascribe anything in terms of the curse stuff. To me, the curse is a cop-out.
Oh, the Bobby Lane stuff?
Any version of it. The Lions are cursed. The Detroit versus everybody. Any manifestation of it, I think that's all nonsense. The Fords are terrible. We'll see. I mean, as a family, as a unit.
Hey, Sheila's the dog. She's the one, right?
Based on what, though? What has she done?
Sure. So that's what I'm saying right now. I'm saying take the gamble on faith.
Do you believe in Sheila, or is it just a why not? Like, is there something other than, oh, why the fuck not, like that you're behind her? Do you see something different in her that, Martha didn't have or Senior didn't have?
Well, I don't want to speak ill on Ford seniors, but I think that she is there. I really believe in my heart that she does want to bring champions to the Lions and to Detroit and to the city and to the fan base. Like, she says all the right things, and from what we see, she's very involved, and that she's very in tune with what Brad and Dan are trying to do, and that she is always willing to listen. And I think they have a lot of autonomy. I don't know. I'm not sitting in Allen Park every day, but I don't know. I mean, it's been 60 years, Justin. I don't know.
Well, I like it more than the first two. And I mean, you can be careful with your words on the first two. Professionally, it's not a personal thing. They were terrible. They didn't do anything. It's almost impossible to be this bad for this long. I mean, if you, short of like active intentional sabotage, and even then it'd be hard. Like one playoff win, and we're going on 70 years. What is it, 64? It boggles the mind where in any given year the Super Bowl champion has 3 or 4, if they were a wild card team, times more playoff wins than we've had. I mean, since JFK was shot. Like it's ridiculous.
It's miserable, and I feel for people our parents' age that, I mean, they've never gotten to see anything like this, and that's the thing. I always say that there's like 3 different tiers of Lions fans. There's like 3 buckets. The first bucket, you have your curmudgeons and your people that are just naysayers, and it doesn't matter that the team could literally win the division or win a playoff game, and they're going to be like, oh, yeah, this team sucks. Like, they're just naysayers, and they're pessimists, and it is what it is, and you're never going to change their mind. And then you have, like, the middle tier. They're kind of like the toe dippers. They're like, oh, yeah, like, screw the Lions. Like, I'll go mow my lawn if they're losing in the second quarter on a Sunday. I don't really care, but they really care. And they're, like, are emotionally attached, but they just can't, like, allow themselves to be emotionally attached. And then there's, like, the slap shows, like the slappies, like die hard, all in, I'm on the train with Dan and Brad, like let's go, we're going to the Super Bowl. So you have all these different tiers, and I think everyone in this city and in this state has a right to be in whatever bucket they want, because at the end of the day, yes, the team has not proved anything yet. But again, it kind of goes back to this is because, okay, so let me ask you this. Mariucci, Marinelli, Schwartz, Caldwell, dare I say his name? Patricia. Like, when has there ever been this much positivity in an overwhelming sense? When have players sat down and
Mariucci was pretty hot coming in. Look at that record in San Francisco.
Coming in, that's fine. And I was
It's pretty
full disclosure,
good.
I was young during this.
We violated the Rooney Rule. We were like the first one to break that rule. That's a very proud thing for yet another banner. We were the first ones to get fined for violating the Rooney Rule. Another banner moment in the history of that franchise. But I loved Mariucci coming in, and people were hot.
But not like this. There's never been where there's this. When have players?
The team, no. The coach, I would argue, yes. But
when have players restructured their contracts to stay here? When have players openly come out to that podium and said, like, hey, I want to stay in Detroit. Like, I want to be a Lion. Like,
Fair.
whatever I need to
Fair.
do.
Yep.
Like,
Fair.
I don't care that Goff was an alternate or St. Brown. When was the last time that we sent 4 players to the Pro Bowl? That was like in the 70s, I think.
Oh, come on. I'm sure that 90s team. Ben, look that up in the internet.
No, I think because I tweeted about it. I think it was like 1976.
Mitchell threw like 78 touchdowns one year. It felt like he's like one of the first 40 touchdown guys.
Everything just feels very different. And that's why I brought up all those different coaches because, I mean, I understand. Like, I haven't been around for 50 years. Like, I don't understand some of the pain that individuals in this city are going through, but I know my own pain and my own, like, and you know me, like, better than a lot of people. Like, I am passionate and I'm emotional and I wear my heart on my sleeve and I take this stuff seriously. Like, I get way too emotionally involved and, like, for me to feel this positive and stuff. And, you know, here's the thing. Why not be positive? Because in November or December, I'll eat crow. So if they suck and they go, they're at 3 wins or 4 wins or even 5, 6 wins in November, December, I'll eat crow. But, like, I don't think that's going to happen. When was the last time that we had this many people betting on the Lions to go to the Super Bowl? That's never happened.
Never. It's one of the, kind of popular pet picks where they're not one of the 5 favorites, but I think they're right at the top of the second tier or whatever it is. Yeah, I mean, there's no question, and that was sort of the framing of the whole topic, is that we are in uncharted territory. I am curious, and I hope it doesn't happen, but what happens if they do get off to a funky start? Like, how do they recover? Because it's different. Last year, no one was expecting anything. It was easier to get off the mat. If this year gets off to a bad start, and I'm not so worried about 0-1, although I'm not conceding the Chiefs game, by the way. I don't know, like, people are like, oh, yeah, 0-1. I don't get that. The Chiefs, good. Hangover, man. They're going to be looking at their, banner going up and shit.
And I do think the first 2 games, and people need to be very... There is a very good chance, like, again, you know me, I'm like, they're going to go to Kansas City and they're going to win this game.
I think they're going to beat the Chiefs, actually.
I think
so, too. And that's me saying
and
that.
I would love it if Chris Jones was was playing alongside of our guys instead of them, but I don't think that's really going to happen. But I think that people also need to prepare themselves. Like, I am a realist, too. Like, even though I'm so yay hype train, if they could lose very feasibly in Kansas City, and then on top of that, they got to come home and play Seattle. And we saw what happened last year. And that's the thing about this league, is that everyone with their own respective teams is like, well, we got this draft pick and everybody, we're good. Like, we're all dogs now. Like, our secondary's lit. It's like, well, okay, the Lions got better, but so did everybody else. So that's where I kind of am like, okay, pump the brakes. Seattle's going to be a really tough game. Do I think the Lions go into Ford Field and lose that game again? Absolutely not. And I hope everyone feels the same way. But again, like, there's shit happens in the NFL. If this team starts 0-2, I mean, I don't think that's going to happen. But, like, we don't need to be calling for Campbell's head. Like, it's all going to be okay. So,
you know the data on that 0-2 thing.
Yeah, I mean, the playoff odds are just going down.
It's like, I mean, I the last I heard that stat, it was like 6 years ago, so the numbers changed. But isn't it like 88% of the time they miss the play? I think it's like 10% you can recover.
Yeah, it's like 13%.
It's something like that, like 8 to 15%. It's low. It's not good.
Yeah.
So you gotta go 1-1 at least. I feel like you don't want to be behind the 8 ball. Your margin for error is gone. So here's the thing: I can get into a point mentally, emotionally, all the above, where okay, this team's going to win the division. In fact, I can't give you a football reason they won't, other than the obvious asterisk if someone gets, if Goff gets hurt. Injuries always happen. If your quarterback gets hurt, you got to say it, because if Goff goes down and someone clips it.
Hey, Teddy's coming to town. It's okay.
Well, yeah, I like Teddy, but I'm also like probably, other than Wade Fink, the biggest Jared Goff fan in the world.
Sure.
I mean, I know you're a Goff person too.
I am such an advocate. And I know you are too.
Huge. No, I mean, I'm not like competitive about it. I need more support. I love the guy.
I am such an advocate of him, and I think we don't need to like tangent on JG, but okay, so we can only sit here and talk about how he was treated by the Rams and how McVay treated him and stuff like. that is eventually, like, now we're years past that, right? So I think he came here and, like, he just was completely written off, which is, like, so kind of disgusting to me. He went to the Super Bowl. I mean, how many quarterbacks in this league can say they went to a Super Bowl? It's a very small percentage.
And he was not along for the ride. He was a Pro Bowl quarterback on that team and was in the Pro Bowl, was it the year before or the year after, too? He had the back-to-back Pro Bowl years. He was not just, like, getting dragged there. So it made no sense. The criticism made no sense.
And, like, I get it. Like, I mean, I argue with my older brother all the time. He's always like, you just don't get it. Like, he's just not it to, like, get to. He's not going to.
Whatever. They were one turnover away from potentially winning the Super Bowl.
Like, you either have the guy, like, and I think that's where, like, the Patrick Mahomes of the world has kind of skewed so much for the league as a whole. Like, no, Patrick Mahomes is an anomaly, right? Like, even putting him up against, like, a Burrow or an Allen, like, they're all very different in their own right. But I think Jared Goff is there to do his job. And I think if Holmes and Campbell really didn't see him being able to win, like, they're smart guys. They're here. They're trying to win. Like, they wouldn't outright say it, even though, forget his contract. Like, we all get it. He's on a contract. He's got to they're paying him right now. But, like, I mean, you hear how many times, like, Brad and Dan, no, he's our guy, and we believe we can win with Jared Goff. And, like, look at who he played with in the Super Bowl. Was it Gurley, I think?
Yes.
Yeah, like, hence why they're putting the pieces around him to win, and he's got one of the best O-lines in the league, and he plays really well in the pocket because we know he's not a mobile quarterback, but with having the O-line that they have, like, he can do the things that they need him to do to win.
You just said it. Oh, sorry, I didn't interrupt you. I was just going to say the offensive line point you just made. That's what I argued about with Jim Costa when he was here. This was before Goff played it down, and I pulled the numbers. I think it was Pro Football Focus that had him as it was like the second or third best quarterback on the planet in the previous 3 seasons. It was like a huge sample size.
Sure.
When he has protection. Like, he's now, but that's adjusted. So you can say, oh, any quarterback's better with protection, but it's adjusted. So they're all adjusted. So if he is given time to throw, and it doesn't mean all day, but just not ambushed in the pocket.
Like Kirk Cousins,
he
poor
is
guy.
Elite.
Yeah.
Not good. Like Mahomes level. Now, Mahomes is a much better player. Mahomes can do it when he's blitzed. In fact, don't blitz Mahomes, he'll torture you. So don't cut that up. But when protected, Goff is almost as good as anybody on the planet. That is a statistical fact. And they've built their team in that way. The offensive line's awesome.
He's so
awesome
good.
when his
line's good.
And
we need them to stay healthy.
Yes. Yeah.
Which, like,
Glasgow, that was a nice little reunion signing. I like that.
For sure. And Taylor Decker, he just came out in camp, I think it was 2 days ago, and he just said, like, hey, like, this year is going to be really good because, knock on wood, I hate talking about this because he's like, we are never all healthy going to camp and into preseason, and it's just different this year for them. I don't even want to use the I word, but
there will be injuries, though, because that's everybody.
I mean,
hopefully not the all-line.
We dodged this week, but back to...
Jeez, that was horrible.
And then you hear about Jalen Ramsey today, and everyone's like, "Oh my God!"
And I was so excited, and still am now that he's fine. But I was so excited to see that dude running around in the secondary, and he's just a havoc creator. And I loved watching him during the playoff run last year.
Yeah,
it's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
I need Johnson out there,
for
man.
sure. But like, back to my point about Jared Goff, I think it's like a double-edged sword with him. People like he is here to do his job, put his head down, be a professional. He is not into the flash. He is not into the media. He's not into like all the BS that comes with being a quarterback in this league. I mean, it's turned into an absolute, I don't even know. It's insane if you go on Twitter every day. And that I almost think inhibits him from being looked at as like, okay, he is him. He's the dog. Like, because of that reason, because he doesn't give the media everything that everybody wants to hear in your QB1, you know?
I think that's definitely a component. I think the bigger component is just the people cannot get that Rams exit out of their heads. And it was, it was a bad exit. I've hammered that to death. I blame McVay. I'm sorry if the coach is walking up and down the hallway saying, this guy doesn't get it. He'll never figure it out. You undermine him with his teammates. You completely zap his confidence. He was undercut. And by the way, this isn't my speculation. Sean McVay admitted it when he was interviewed about it. He's like, yeah, I did a terrible job. I did not have his back. This is coming from that great ESPN report. I can't remember the female reporter's name. She was awesome. It's one of the best pieces ESPN's done in 10 years, outlining all the reasons why Goff was effectively railroaded there by McVay's own admission.
It was sad.
It was like I said, he is the most sympathetic. I've never felt so sorry for a guy who's now engaged to one of the 10 most beautiful women alive.
Kristen Harper, we love her.
She's awesome.
She's the best.
Super down to earth. Like,
Yep.
I've never felt bad for a guy engaged to somebody that looks like that's making like $40 million a year. But if there was ever an example that would be an exception, it would be Goff. I love the guy. He's my Best Buy buddy. We were buying TVs together and all. We go way back. So let me finish here in terms of this context.
Sure.
Winning the division is great because it's Detroit and we've never seen it, or a lot of us haven't seen it, or we're not old enough to remember. Other places ain't that great. Nobody looks at the Houston Texans as some beacon or bastion or pinnacle of success in the league. Bill O'Brien is universally mocked. What does he have? 3 division titles in the AFC, before they ran him out of town? I mean, it's not that impressive, especially when the division is not that great as this division is not projected to be. So I'm with you on the division. 2-part question.
Sure.
Part 1.
Oh, God.
They win the division, they host the playoff game, they lose, or maybe they win and then they get blown out in the second game. Is that a satisfactory result for you? Just would you be happy with that? And 2, and I would argue maybe the more interesting question, what is their ceiling, regardless of what you would be happy with? Is this a team that could be in the Super Bowl, in your opinion?
Okay, so the first question is they host a They host a playoff game.
They win the division.
Okay.
And they host a playoff game and they either lose or they win and get, not just lose the second game. Let's say they host the wild card. And they get...
Ew, they're not going to the wild card. Get out of here.
I'm just saying, basically, they do not go to the conference title game, and it was not because the refs fucked them at the end, like of the divisional round. It was a very soft, You
mean there was no flag on the pass?
I would not say they were on the doorstep of the conference championship game if they lose by 50. That kind of a thing. It wasn't Draymond Green getting hacked by Gordon Hayward. The 2015 Final Four loss does not hurt like 2010. We were fucked in 2010. We just weren't good enough in 2015. Difference. That's kind of what I'm saying. Is that a satisfactory result for you? Because to me, who cares? We mocked Bill O'Brien, who did that multiple times. And part 2, what is the ceiling?
I mean, again, we can go back and talk about this league being such a league of parity. And it's kind of hard to answer their ceiling because of, the I word. I hate using it. I mean, it freaks me out. Look what's going on in camp every day. But I think, the ceiling for me... Okay, so I think everyone's going to be elated if they win the division because we haven't seen that in years and years and years. So, of course, people are going to be happy, but they're going to want more. They're going to want more. And that's not... And they should, right? They should want more. That shouldn't just be we won the division, let's pack it up, go home. But if we host a playoff game and you said we win it.
Yes.
We win it. Okay, great.
And then get destroyed. We're not even competitive. We get humiliated in the second game.
No, I don't think. I don't see them ever getting humiliated.
But if it happened, are you leaving that season saying, all right, awesome, attaboy?
I'd be pissed.
Okay, me too.
I would be pissed.
Tell me about their ceiling now. What's their ceiling? I don't see a reason why they couldn't win the whole damn thing. And that's me saying.
Wow, Justin.
I'm not predicting it.
Oh, my God. Mr. Curmudgeon over there.
I am more inclined to predict that they fall flat on their face, but that's not based on any football reasons. It's based on I'm terrified and I don't trust them. Why can't they if their defense is even 15% better, they already have a top 5 offense.
Aaron Glenn is going to get that.
On paper, they're better. I mean, they can't be last year. No, I know they didn't win it, but they arguably could have or should have. They can't be last year's Eagles.
100%.
I could see that happening. Not as good defensively, but better offensively potentially.
100%. But if you look at last year, I remember it was Eagles, 49ers, right?
Well, not
Not in the NFC Championship game.
Not in the Super Bowl.
No, I know, but the NFC Championship game.
Oh, yeah.
If we go back to that game, I mean, I get it. The
49ers
were on their fourth quarter. Okay.
Yeah. Brock Purdy had a baseball
that
surgery.
Being
it's
said,
like, Tommy John, what the fuck, Brock Purdy? Sorry.
Which that quarterback story is a whole nother
Mr. Irrelevant.
Wild.
Kyle Shanahan. Adam is out there. He's going to take his pants off if he hears Kyle Shanahan's name too many times. We have a thing. We love Kyle.
Everybody loves Kyle Shanahan. How could you not?
No, but we love him more than you guys.
But
do.
what I wanted to say, if that's your NFC Championship game and it's 2023, the Lions 1,000% could have won that game.
Great point.
Say everybody's healthy.
Yes.
Okay. But look at who the Lions are going to be this year. They were playing with baby rookies, babies. They were playing with Aiden Hutchinson, Jameson Williams, Malcolm Rodriguez. I mean, Kirby Joseph, and I still feel like those guys could have went in last year and they could have pulled it off. So I'm saying, I know I really appreciate the fact that you said, "Hey, Super Bowl or bust," or that you feel that they could actually win the whole damn thing.
They have the talent. They're good enough.
100%. I think we need to fill the interior defensive line just a little bit. If we had some blue chip player like a Chris Jones, it'd be lights out. But
that's why you don't draft the running back at 12. We'll get there in a second.
Oh my God!
I mean, what a ridiculous! I don't want to boy. I mean, we're almost there. It took me.
So.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, you can finish.
No, ceiling. Again, I don't want to get ahead of myself because we could all just be sitting here pissed as hell in November being like, what the hell?
I know, but this is the get ahead of yourself topic. I'm making you get ahead of yourself.
Sure.
I'm forcing you to talk about it.
Okay, I think, and that's the thing. That's what I want to tell you. Outside of the Chiefs, the league is parity. Anybody can win this thing. Maybe not the Texans.
Yeah.
And maybe not the Cardinals.
I do not think any team can win. I think 12 teams have a shot that it could.
But you saw ESPN. I hope you did. ESPN came out with where teams were going to draft. This is so off-season BS. People are bored and sleeping.
Yeah.
Where teams are going to draft in 2024.
I didn't see it.
You didn't?
They have us picking 32?
They had us picking 26, I think.
So what is that? That's a
so we won a
loss.
No, we won a playoff game.
Yeah, that could be a wild card win because you're not in the Final Four, so you're losing the division round.
Better than the Cardinals, who are picking at 1 and 2.
But I just
I think
is it better than missing the playoff? It's something you haven't done. I'm sorry. I want to hold myself to a real standard, not this adjusted for the curve because that's the worst franchise in the history of sports. I want to succeed by any objective standard, not our pathetic adjusted terrible standard.
Sure.
And we're
that's
good
fair.
enough. Why not? Why not I'm with Mike Valenti on that. I disagree with him a lot lately. I think he nailed the Lions thing. Fuck it.
Sore subject.
For you?
No, just in today's news.
Oh, well, whatever. Don't get me started. I did a 2-hour Spaces on that already.
Yeah.
Look,
I
bomb that show twice a week. It's not like I'm in the tank for them, but come on, people. Get it together with that. It took me a long time in show prep, Natalie, to find somebody of some note and credibility that came out against the Lions and came sort of more in my camp with I got to see it for skepticism. I'm just curious for your take on this. This is Mike Florio, and from Pro Football Talk, and Chris Sims. Quick hit. They're the only ones I could find that share my skepticism. Ben, can we run that?
The problem is the Lions have done nothing to merit the hype that they're now receiving. It kind of reminds me last year when everyone had the Bills penciled in as Super Bowl champions. From the Bills' perspective, it's what have we done to justify these expectations? We haven't been to the Super Bowl in 30 years, and you're expecting us to win it this year? Lions haven't won a playoff game since 1991, longer than the last time the Bills have been to the Super Bowl, and we're expecting the Lions to make the playoffs and have some sort of a deep run?
Okay, some skepticism there. Sure. I mean, is there some fairness there? Can we at least see them make the playoffs before I'm restore the roar? Anybody that has any second thoughts about this is an asshole. There's some meat on that bone, right? We haven't seen them do anything.
100%.
There's not a long track record. There's examples, so don't at me, as the kids say. But there's not a long track record of teams just falling out of nowhere, shooting up out of nowhere and winning the Super Bowl. There's just not. Typically either made the playoffs the year before or they made it 2 of the 3 years prior. There's like something
Cincinnati
there.
and
yeah, exactly.
100%.
So we haven't seen that yet. We're not there yet.
That's fair. And that's where if you want me to drop my ceiling and say, okay, we can go to the NFC title game, like, yeah, that's fine.
Fuck that. I want to win the whole thing. At least go. I mean, Jesus. But I like this team. It's the coach. I don't trust the coach.
You are just so anti-DC.
I love him as a person. I'd hang out with him. I think he's a good culture guy. I think he's not a dunce. He's a dunce next to Andy Reid or across from Andy Reid.
No, I think Valenti said this.
No?
I think Valenti said this, and if I'm wrong, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He wants you to think he's stupid. He's playing you and he's dummying you. That's what he...
Dumb as a fox or whatever's the student. What's that old phrase my mom used to say?
Dumb as a fox?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Whatever. I'm a little older than you, But yeah.
No, I don't think he's not dumb. He's not dumb.
I don't think he's dumb. I don't think he's at that
you're just
level.
Not. You just are not on his train, and I just don't get that.
Not schematically, I'm not. He's gonna if he gets in the ring.
He's got Ben Johnson running his offense. Just kidding. Go ahead.
You're right, and that helps. But this is a head coach's game, and these changes are at the highest of levels. I mean, and look, this is a good problem to have. Oh my God, what if he makes the Super Bowl? Can he outcoach Andy Reid? Like, please, can I have that problem? Like, I would give for that anxiety. Like, please bestow me with that anxiety. Like, I would love that. Don't get me wrong. And Andy Reid is the high end of the spectrum. He's arguably the best play schemer ever.
And I don't think anyone's ever gonna shit on Andy Reid. But go ahead. Sorry.
No, but I'm just saying. But he's the extreme example. But even, I mean, the Rams stink. But like, what if the Rams are good in another year or two? And then it ends up, I think McVay would destroy him schematically. Belichick took McVay to school in that Super Bowl. McVay admitted that after the fact. I don't think he's up to snuff in that situation. I think he can win your division for you and get you your little banner. And then we're going to, be in a situation where unless we're blowing a team out, it's going to come down to a decision he's making. And I don't trust him. So do you trust Dan Campbell to push the right button in a tight spot at the end of a close game, on the road, in the playoffs, down 4, 4th and 6? Does he go? Does he not go? Whatever the situation. You trust him. I don't. Is that fair? You trust him?
I trust him more than you do. But we also haven't been in that situation yet where I'm like, oh my God.
We've been in game management situations. I don't know what he's thinking. I don't even know what his pattern is.
Okay.
What are this guy's tendencies? I mean, he goes for it a lot. That's not, no. I mean, it's kind of a tendency.
Okay, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt in 2023. Okay, because here's why. If I may.
You may.
There was major mismanagement in a couple of games last year with the clock. Okay?
Yep.
There's 2 games that stick out to me. If you could name them, I'd be like, hell yeah.
Minnesota?
Yep.
And I don't want to waste the audience's time. What's the second one?
Buffalo.
They could have had that Buffalo
So
game.
This is my whole thing. Week 3, they're at Minnesota on the road, and the Lions were winning like the majority of that game, and we all thought like, oh my God, we're gonna win this game. It comes down to the 4th quarter, like final drive. I think it was over a field goal. I think something along the realm. If I'm wrong, you guys can correct me. But, and he blew it, and they blew it. And I think that was just like, okay, it's year 2. It's the beginning of the season. He's trying to get his bearings still. He's trying to get his staff's bearings under them, whatever. And then you fast forward 2 months, and it's week 12 Thanksgiving against Buffalo. And that was totally one of those situations, people were laughing that they were coming into town on Thanksgiving. We saw the spread. It was trash. And
fair.
Call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
And long story short, 4th quarter, the Lions come back, or they stay in it the whole game, and we're like, holy crap, we're gonna win this game. Like we have a real legitimate shot. Stuff happens. It comes down to that coulda, woulda, shoulda play. He blew it again. I think it was because of a missed calling timeout or something like that. And I think by that time he had faced so much scrutiny. I mean, Twitter was just trashing him, and rightfully so. But my whole point here is that all happened. And I think with anything we do in our life, is cliche as it is, the faster we skin our knees and the faster we make mistakes, the better and more efficiently we correct them. And I think Dan Campbell doesn't need to be told like, hey, you effed this up. Like, yeah, no shit. Like, he knows that. And I think with the new standards and the new expectations that him and Holmes, I mean, they come out every day and say, hey, there's new expectations set. Like, he understands what he did, because I think that most games from week 13 on, like, those were all pretty clean games that he called. Really clean games. Unless there's something glaring.
Well, I'm trying to think. I mean, going back another year, he was a disaster in Foxborough the last time they were there. He blew the Ravens game in the first year. I'm sorry. The guy has been responsible for them losing or dramatically decreasing their win probability by making objectively in real time idiotic decisions like 7 times in 2 years.
Sure, but it didn't happen.
That's way too many times.
100%. Okay, so that's where I'm saying I'm not going to say. I know you wanted me to crap on him. I don't
want you to crap on him.
Yes, he did. He wanted that.
No.
But
I don't trust him. I love him. I love the guy. I don't trust him.
So here's my whole thing. I think that he is, when it comes down to game time decisions and game altering decisions like that with the clock. And this is now the difference between, we're going to win 10 or we're going to win 9 or we're going to win 11. Like, I don't think he's going to make that type of critical error again. I really don't, going into 2023. And I want to give him the benefit of the doubt because he burned himself so badly in 2022. I will tell you, however, though, with the expectations now of this team, all aboard the hype train, like, it's not going to be tolerable, like, within the fan base.
Oh, you're not a cute little pesky underdog anymore. You're the favorite now.
No, and people, I just think, I mean, the fans have no pull. Like, they don't give a shit what we say, but it's just not going to be tolerable. So I hope they figure it out. I hope that he has a great season of managing his clock. So we'll see.
I'm rooting for you. Please, Justin, be wrong. Like, go Team Natalie. I just wish I had something better than, he'll learn, he'll figure it out. Like, I mean, you're not in a vacuum. You're against 31 other coaches. They're all either better, or I could say the same thing for them. They were bad, like Campbell was, and but they'll learn.
Sure.
I don't want them to learn on the job.
And I was going to say that, though. I think, obviously, I'm not making excuses. There's 32 people in the world that get to do this year over year, okay? A very special job to hold. I think with anything, if you're an athlete, if you're a coach, a lot of that stuff is innate. Some of it, however, is practiced. Dan Campbell was in year 2 of his head coaching regime last year. So again, that sounds like I'm making excuses for the guy, but hello. I mean, that's inexperience at its finest. Like,
we're done with that. You agree, though? We're done with, like, the whole learn on the job. Like, there's no excuse anymore.
Yes.
He fully owns his mistakes.
And that's the thing. Like, own the mistake, which I think he does. But, like, if you're still not getting it, then we're gonna need to bring in whoever we need to bring in to be able to help manage a clock. I don't know if it's a coordinator or who it is, but I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. And if we're in week 4, 5, 6, whatever, and there's clock mistakes, Godspeed.
If we locate one of these experts, these wunderkinds in this department, please send them to East Lansing first. Detroit gets second pick. I'm not going to rehash the Wisconsin game and the Indiana game, et cetera. I don't want to talk about that. Or Rutgers the year prior, which ended up in a win, but whatever. So let's transition to this. We agreed on 92.3% of that first topic. We're not going to be able to disagree possibly more here. I'm passionately against your position. Not you, I love you, but your position I think is wrong, and you're in the majority. I'm the asshole, right?
Go for it.
I'm used to that. It's not on purpose. I just tend to be in the contrarian camp for some reason, particularly with this franchise.
You always are.
I typically am, and for the most part, I've been right. I'm sorry, but it's a fact. Jahmyr Gibbs at 12.
Okay.
I like the player. I think it's absurd in this context, in this league, and in this era. And there's you're already shaking. There's so many data points, and I think most people that watch this show have heard me cite them, have heard other people cite them. So I'm not gonna like put them up on the board because we've done that, but
sure,
playing the hits, they almost never get a second contract, right? Very rarely.
Yeah, they're not getting paid anymore, so who cares? Draft high early on, draft the blue chip.
But ask yourself, why are they not getting paid?
Because they get injured. But go ahead. I want you to ask your question.
But that in the positions. Well, you're right. That's nothing you said was wrong. That's true, but it's also just from an objective league average salary standpoint. I think it's the second. It's other than specialists, obviously. It's either the second lowest paid position or the lowest. Mm-hmm. Everybody gets. I think
You're
inside.
saying like behind a long snapper or something.
Well, those are specialists, but I think inside linebackers are paid less. But it's like they're the bottom two.
Interchangeable.
Everybody makes more than the running backs. It's I mean, again, other than the punter. So it's like the league is telling you what the value of that position is. The market is telling you this is either the least valuable true position non-specialist or very close, maybe the second to least important. That's just what the market bears out. The market doesn't care what you or I think. It's just that's the average of 32 teams and how these things have been valued. We're zigging when everyone else is zagging. The Lions are not a team, an organization that should ever feel like they're smarter than anybody else. I don't think they've earned the, Bob Quinn used to do that all the time. Oh, Johnny Tavai, these people don't know what they're talking about. Tease Tabor, I'm not worried about his 40 time. The guy was running in cement.
Okay, but Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia, God, I hate saying their names. They're not here anymore.
I know, but and I'm not getting it. You can do that all day though. Oh, it's not their fault. It's not their fault. And here I am. I'm 35 years later. I'm like, I've been saying it's not their fault for 35 years. At some point, I'm going to blame just whether it's the building or the family or the logo or Bobby Lane. I don't even care what it is. I don't even care. But it is. I don't care what it is. It is. They have not proven that they are a smart organization historically. There's myriad evidence to say that they are, if not the worst, maybe the second or third worst organization across all professional sports since 1960. So I'm not going to say, okay, the Lions are doing something that nobody else is doing, or I guess, Bijan obviously, but almost nobody else is doing, and they got it right. Everyone else is wrong. No, Sanders, you're wrong. Mama's right. I don't trust it, and why would I? And even if I wanted to give them the leap of faith, I just think they're wrong. Why am I crazy? Why is Jahmyr Gibbs a great pick at 12?
So you just literally you're contradicting. You set that up perfectly for me.
Good, camera me. You're better with the Lion stuff than I am. So you're already at an advantage.
You set that up perfectly for me. So
hit me hard. I'm ready for it.
So Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, we always talk about Jameson being polarizing. This pick of Jahmyr Gibbs is polarizing. I mean, you and I were both at Ford Field that night when all this went down.
People were pissed.
And people were pissed. And Brad trades back, and everyone's like, what is going on? Like, are we taking a corner? Are we taking a wideout? Like, what are we doing? And I think the running back was the last thing on anybody's mind.
Yes.
And then it happened. And we heard his name. And, I mean, Ford Field was chaos. I mean, Twitter went absolutely apeshit. It was wild. And no one knew what was going on. And then 3 hours go by, and you hear Holmes get behind the podium, and he explains himself. And I think that Brad Holmes has exemplified that kind of throughout his tenure as a GM. He is going against the grain, and he doesn't really care. He's progressive, and he doesn't care what people think, and he doesn't care about, like, standard football, what you do in this situation. And I think Jahmyr Gibbs was a perfect example of that. And I think we're going to see that with Bijan, too. I think Brad Holmes is ahead of the curve here. He understands this position is changing as we know it. I will never say smartest man in the room.
But you're buying the slot thing? Is that where you're going with this?
1,000% I am. This position is changing as we know it. What you just mentioned. I mean, it is running back position right now in this league is completely burning platform. These players are not getting paid the way they want. It's being devalued. No one's getting their second contracts. The guys are pissed. And I think that there's a reason for that because the position is changing. And it is turning, and you hear Holmes say it all the time, especially about a Gibbs. Positionless, weapon, multi-dimensional. And that is because they're putting him into this scheme to be not what you think it is. Like, he is not your run up the middle, get bodied type of guy. Like, that's going to be more David Montgomery. But, like, and even, like, Robinson, I think, is going to be way more of that than Jamir is. Like, Jamir is going to come into I think he's going to get a crazy workload, more workload than anybody really thinks. And he is going to be like your slot because Jameson's out for 6 games, okay? So who's going to do all that like deep separation stuff? They don't have that.
They had a top 5 offense last year, and Jameson didn't do anything.
100%. But like Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be a slot guy. He's going to get a lot of carries. And I think he also was drafted again. We go back to what does Jared Goff need to win?
He needs an offensive line.
Okay, well he has that.
Yeah.
So then you plug in a piece that's like perfect for like the play action, and Ben Johnson's going to make him a monster. And again, we can go back and laugh at this in like a year, and you can be like, you dumb bee. But like,
I would never.
Jahmyr Gibbs is like, I never, like, when this first happened, I was like kind of pissed. I was like, what are they doing?
I saw your reaction.
I was like, this is wild.
Ford Field, did you remember the cheerleaders that came out for the 6th overall pick, and they were like, here we go, they got the drum line, and then it was like, the Lions have traded the pick, and they kind of like scatter off. And it's all right, 12, so it's like 48 minutes later, they come back out, they're banging the drums, and the cheerleaders are waving the pom-poms, and they announced Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah.
Not even the drum line pretended to be amused. Like even the drum line was like, fuck that.
A running back.
I'm not making that up. Like, there's got to be footage somewhere. Even the cheerleaders were like, what the fuck are they doing?
Yeah. Holmes is either going to look like a genius or he's going to look like a dumbass. But, I mean, that's the thing. Like, but that's the NFL draft. It's a gamble, right? Like,
it's a bad gamble. They made
100%. What did they have? They had the 6th pick. Yes. And they gave that up. Who went 6th overall?
Well, they could have had Bijan. Did Bijan go 6 or did he go 7?
Went 8.
He went 8? I thought he went like 7th or something.
I think I'm like 99%.
You're probably right. I know we could have had him. I know he was sitting there. And that brings me to my next question. Were you on the just take Bijan instead?
No. I'm so happy and content with Gibbs, and I also think this is another reason why they took him. Campbell and Holmes, they want football players. They want heads down, shut up, like Jack Campbell, Aiden Hutchinson, like Jahmyr Gibbs, like those guys are they are football players. Like, go in, you work, you do a job. And what we've seen from the press so far in media, Jahmyr Gibbs is a guy of few words. Like, you can just tell he is not like, oh, yeah, he's Mr. Bama superstar, but he's not there to be all like Mr. Flash and this and that. Like, I think that kid just wants to go and like hit people and win.
I think he's a hell of a player. My opinion has absolutely nothing to do with Jahmyr Gibbs. It's the nature of the position in this market.
So again, I think that's where people archaically are going to have to get past that. I think it's changing. This, again, it goes back to they don't want to pay him. The position is changing. It's turning into more of a receiver, and it's a passing league. So they have to figure out, okay, how can we adjust to this?
That's the argument in favor of it. And I've always said that with the pass-catching angle, if I'm making the Jahmyr Gibbs pick was great argument, that's my best piece. And that's a legitimate argument. And
I will still stand by this. After we see all these people that are pissed about their franchise tags and they can't get signed, the Tony Pollards and the Josh Jacobs and what's going on. So, okay, we have 4 years of Jahmyr Gibbs. The Lions are ready to compete and contend. I would say that, if not this year, the next year. So who cares what he's doing in 4 years? Then you draft your next Jahmyr Gibbs. Like,
but here's the argument.
I think it's just like people are so wrapped up in the second contract. It's like, well, I think it's kind of on its way out with that position.
I'm not worried about the second contract in terms of, oh my God, we're not going to sign him in 5 years. I don't care about 5 years from now. Like baseball, I actually kind of do. Football, it's so like that's like 100 years in baseball. But it's about what does that lack of a second contract say about the value of the position. It's not that I'm worried he won't be here. It's what does it tell us that the league does not pay that position? It tells us, I think, by default, that it's one of the arguably the least important position. Did this offense not finish by any metric in the top 5 last year? Top 4 in some? That's an objective fact, right?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. True.
Without Jahmyr Gibbs, with Jameson Williams catching 1 pass. Why are you, and you had a defense that was full of holes. You've acknowledged that there's some weaknesses there.
Yep.
There was not an ideal, I mean, I liked the baby Aaron Donald, but, he was polarizing in his own right. I liked him. It's my boy. But, you could have gone corner there. there was a pretty damn good corner available.
Yeah, and he didn't sign his contract yet.
Well, yeah, but if he were
I'm just
here,
kidding.
he would see Dan Campbell's, pearly eyes, and he'd say he'd be on the dot of the line. But if I already have a top 5 offense with Jameson a total write-off last year, and I would argue they've already upgraded at running back with Montgomery, in my opinion. People can disagree. I mean, I know the touchdowns were fun. He was plunging in from the one a lot. Why use that? That is really they used the 6th pick, asset, but I know they got other stuff. But keep it at 12. Why use that critical asset when I'm already so good there? I've already improved at that exact position. I've improved, I would argue, with my pass catchers just by having Jameson, even a suspended Jameson, will probably have more than one catch this year. I mean, I hope. Was it not the definition of a luxury pick, even if you like the player? Is that fair?
You can say it's a luxury pick. That's fine. But I think it's...
You think it's worth passing up an upgrade defensively?
I didn't want a corner at 6.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Well, I mean, I neither did I. I mean, at that 12th pick is what I'm talking about.
If they had not gone out in free agency and did what they did, I'd be like, okay, hello.
Yeah.
Secondary needs help now.
Yeah.
But they used their chips on the secondary and free agency, and then it was like, okay, let's just go out get this freak of a kid, who I think is Jahmyr Gibbs.
Gibbs is going to be so awesome, and this whole segment is going to make me look so bad. So for the for the 5th time, I like Jahmyr Gibbs, and he's a hell of a player.
Did I already say that about fantasy leagues? Did I already say that?
About what component? I don't think so.
If
this you're going to love him?
Barring this kid can stay healthy.
PPR especially.
He's going to go 1 through 5, I think, in for years to come in people's fantasy leagues.
A little bit of the Marshall Faulk thing, can catch. He's just a really dynamic.
And
I'm not saying he's that level. That's a high praise.
I think he's even more dynamic than dare I say a Kamara, but.
Well, that's the comp, but that's the best kind of version of that. I mean, it doesn't mean he can't be, but that's pretty high praise.
But I think it's a perfect offense for him, and that's why I also think they did it.
He has to be he has to be that for it to be worth it. But here's the picture I want to paint, and this was my tweet, and here's me being an asshole. Ben, can you throw up my tweet where I'm being my usual bundle of joy? And by the way, Mike Valenti stole this exact tweet verbatim last week, I think it was. I was just rolling my eyes, very typical. But this is the Super Bowl rundown, winning running backs, RB1s the last 9 years.
Oh, yeah, they talked about this on the ticket.
Everyone, and mine was from April for the record. But everyone dunked on me because I cut it off at Marshawn Lynch. I actually cut it off with the Twitter characters. I actually had it to 2013 originally, and I had to delete the top 2 lines. So I did not strategically cut off Marshawn Lynch, but I'm sorry, the last 9 years is not a tiny, cherry pick sample size. LeGarrette Blount, CJ Anderson, Blount, Sony Michel, Jameson Williams, Fournette, who was not the top 5 superstar pick. He was signed for 1 year, $2 million off the scrap heap for Tampa Bay. Cam Akers, and last year Pacheco, who had a nice game against Michigan maybe, but he was a 7th round pick. There's no money. There's no money invested in any of those 9 guys. So if my goal is to win the Super Bowl, I'm not saying that's the only data point. The average salary is a data point. There's a million reasons why, but is that not a compelling argument for how important is a running back if I can have 9 guys for $5 million or less off the scrap heap or 7th round?
Yeah, so pay the guys that you can pay in dirt. That's why. I mean, Jamal Williams didn't get his contract, and Swift got traded away.
But the position's not that important. I can get a 7th rounder and win the Super Bowl with him.
Well, I think that has to do with who your quarterback is and what your scheme is and stuff.
Not all of them. Not all of them. Nick Foles is on that list. I mean, or his running back was. I mean, who did Eli Manning win with? Ahmad Bradshaw? I mean, he was fine, but he wasn't a top 10 back at any point, I don't think, in his career. So, I mean, it's just not that important of a position. They're fun, but...
Right, but that's why the position's changing. If it's not so important, let's get a little slot
guy out there. You're banking on being ahead of the curve. It might be
really
Tyreek Hill. No one saw that coming.
And that's totally a Holmes thing.
Yeah.
I think...
I'm a big Holmes guy. I've always been a big Holmes guy, though.
Well, Justin, you don't always sound like it. So no, I'm
Holmes.
kidding.
This decision I don't like. I have been the biggest Holmes honk since the second he got here. Campbell, love him, not so much on the strategy stuff. So let's say where are we at, Ben? So we're still doing actually pretty good here. So this is throw up the Natalie tweet. This is just you mocking people like me. I took this very personally. This is you doing the ransom lettering, but you don't draft a running back at 12th overall. And this was a video clip of, I think it was Gibbs, like kind of flying out of the backfield and catching a.
No, that was a different one.
Was that a different one?
This is just JG.
This is Gibbs throwing it to Goff throwing it to Gibbs.
Yeah, but it's a different one than I posted.
You shit on me so often through passive aggressive means. They all start to blend together. But so you're really kind of leaning into this, like you're all in. You not only are you okay with the decision, you love the decision, right? I just want to clarify, not that you can get past your original reticence. You think it was a great move. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think it's a great move because dare I say, the only other player, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but dare I say, the only other person that I really would have wanted them to take at 6 would be, can you guess it? Jalen Carter.
No, terrible.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
You see that he's standing out in camps for...
Oh, he's an absolute freak of nature. And he landed in the best spot for him.
I mean, you can go through my Twitter. I also said from, 2 weeks before the draft, I said they are not taking this kid. They had no interest in him. But yeah, like unless you were going to take your D tackle, like generational guy, like then I didn't really care.
Jalen Carter landed in maybe the one place where I'd be like, okay, that might work. Anywhere else, like if he went to Houston or here, even with the Dan Campbell players coach thing, he needs that like 5 good guys around him. He needs basically absolutely no sliver of reason to fail because he will take it. But the talent is just unbelievable. I would have been furious if they took him. Furious. I'm happy with Gibbs. I don't know. I like Gibbs, just for the record.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Like,
yeah.
I hope the kid is a standout. I hope that it's like, whoa, Detroit got a friggin' stud.
And that's a position they can be good, like, year 1, week 1.
Well, that's the thing. Holmes is so, like, this guy's plug and play. Like, this guy's ready to go. And I knew, I also put that tweet out, like, on draft eve, and I just said, DeAndre Swift is not going to be a Lion in 3 days. And I called my shot on that, and I was right. They had enough. They were done.
The guy's hurt every 5 seconds. I liked him when they drafted him. It's just a bummer. I still like him. I think he could salvage his career. I'm going in descending order of my pessimism here. This is where it gets kind of dark.
You go for it.
So like get your smile and your cheer and your chipperness ready to go because I need it to offset.
I mean, you have been overly positive for you with the Lions right
by
now.
my standard, yes.
Very positive. But it's because your ray of sunshine.
That's why you're bringing me up.
Here.
But now it's time for me to hit you back and bring you down.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to get here, but I have to be honest. I always tell my audience, I will always tell you what I think. I will be wrong plenty of times.
Sure.
My Twitter name is a self-imposed scarlet letter because I thought Darko was going to be great. And I mocked anybody that liked Bosch, Dwayne Wade, or Carmelo Moore. I'm going to get stuff wrong. I will never get stuff dishonest. I will be honest. I have to be honest with you and everyone out there.
Sure.
I'm terrified of the Jameson Williams thing. I think he's a bust, and I'm this close.
We're using the B word.
I'm this close to a complete write-off. I'm not there, but I am this close. I am like on the welcome mat. I am pretty much done, and I consider him a write-off. It is a write-off they can endure. They have plenty of reasons to think the guy could, God forbid, fall off the face of the earth tomorrow, and they could still be a Super Bowl contender, in my opinion. I think they have enough. It would hurt. So I don't think it's a devastating blow, but he's getting there for me. I have no faith in this guy. So okay. I pulled some really depressing stuff, okay? And Ben put together these glorious graphics for us. So let's start here. The best ability availability, right? To use the cliche. Here's the picture. So this is going back into college. This is the entirety of his college career and the entirety, to whatever extent it's entire, his NFL career. We're looking at 2019 Ohio State, 4 games played, 6 catches. He basically didn't play. 2020, the games played aren't the problem. It was COVID. 6 games played, but 9 receptions. He was the, I think, 6th or 7th leading receiver on Ohio State. He was a fringe guy that barely played. 2021, the money year, awesome year with Bama, goes to the college football playoff championship game, gets hurt famously. Obviously, 15 games played, 79 catches, incredible. 2022, last year, 6 games played, the 1 reception. It was a pretty touchdown where he was wide open, but whatever. And then this year, he's missing the first 6 games. So this is the guy's entire 5-year career, post-high school, post him attending the prom. And I've got 1 year, 1 full football year. I don't care if this year goes well. He will not have anything close to a full football year, even if he doesn't get the most minor of injuries, because he's missing 6 games. He's not appealing it. We know that. So for the first 5 years, this guy's missed close to half or more of the seasons, of the games, in that season. So in 5 years, the guy's played football on a full-time basis once? That's not great. And here's the second point. Ben, let's roll to the next one. I spent an appalling amount of time because I could not find the inputs on Pro Football Reference to make this easier. So I did it manually. We are in this rare territory. Jameson Williams has 95 career receptions between college and the NFL, almost all of which came in that aforementioned 1 season where he had 79. 95 career catches since he left high school. That is the second lowest total among second-year receivers taken in the first round since 1985. The only one worse is a guy named Yatil Green, who I've never even heard of, 15th overall pick in 1997. And the only reason that happened is because he had like 4 ACL surgeries. The poor guy was just cursed. It wasn't because he was a flame out or something. He just had bad injury luck. You're talking about a almost 40-year sample size of all those first-round receivers. Nobody has been this unproductive / unavailable ever in that time frame, except this one guy whose knee kept shredding on him. I don't like these guys that don't play football. He just doesn't play football. Deshaun Watson looked horrible last year. He didn't play football for a year. Maurice Clarett was a stud. He challenged the NCAA along with his boy Mike Williams. They both had to sit out for a year. They were never the same. I don't like guys that don't play. This guy has not played 4 of the last 5 years. We're in uncharted territory effectively with guys taken in the first round that were this. It's not that he was unproductive because he sucked, but didn't play. He was either hurt, suspended, or not good enough to make the depth chart. Am I crazy to look at that and say, holy shit, I'm kind of nervous about that? Am I just a cynical jerk? Is there some meat on the bone there?
Yes, there's meat on the bone.
Yes, you admit it. We are in uncharted territory. Nobody has been this unavailable. At what point am I worried that you're Mike Williams, Maurice Clarett? The maturity thing is a separate issue. We can get to that. He just ain't out there. I don't care what reason. I need you to play.
Okay.
Right?
So then go back to the draft. So I'm not bailing on him. And it sounds like you already kind of waved the white flag.
Very close.
And that's fine. And I think that there's people that feel like you and there's people that feel like me. Those, I will tell you that those stats there's meat on the bone there.
They're terrifying.
I'm not feeling on him. So if you go back to when he got taken, Brad traded to go get him. Now, I don't know if, did he really want Olave at 11 and the Saints took him and kind of threw off what they were trying to do? I don't know. Or was Jamo really his guy at 12? But I think it just was, there was no expectation when he got drafted. And then it was like, okay, red shirt, pup, whatever. We know he's rehabbing. Like, we're really not going to see much of Jameson this year. And then it was like week 7 in the media is just like, is Jameson there? Like, is he playing? Like, is he practicing? What's he doing? And like, you hear Dan all the time, like, especially with his young guys, he is so very much like, we just got to get his legs out from under him. Guys just got to get their legs going. And it's kind of like he's very like a process guy. And then, making sure they're okay. Can we get his pads on? And like, I think that everybody kind of jumped the gun with Jamo last year. It just was like, okay, week 9, he's in. Week 10, let's go. Come on. Because we saw him running routes in practice. And we saw him, he was present. And it just, the Jamo train just took off, myself included. And it was just like, why isn't he out there? Well, why isn't he out there? And then they put him out there and he didn't get his reps. And he didn't get his targets. And when he did get targets, there was just no chemistry between him and Goff, which that's we knew that was going to happen, right? So half the stuff was underthrown. Like, I'm not blaming Goff for that. I just think that they didn't have the time, they didn't have the practice, and it just, everybody jumped the gun. And so then it was like, okay, so even in Green Bay, then, like, I was at that game. I was at Lambeau.
I didn't know that. You were at the last game of the year?
Yeah, you knew that.
I forgot then.
You knew that.
I must have forgotten. That was so awesome. But sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, so then it's like, okay, the last game of the year, it's like, okay, Jamo's, and every game, that was the thing, the fan base just rooted so hard. And it was, I feel like the kid was expected to just go out and run for all this yardage and get all these receptions. And it kind of was what it was. It was just so presumptuous now looking back on it. But Green Bay happens. He gets that bullet of a pass from Goff. He runs. I mean, did you see the Madden scores for speed? Like, I think he's like second behind the cheetah. And long story short, he gets that reception, runs it in for a touchdown, gets called back. I think it was like a holding call. We kind of chalk it up. It's like, okay, that's that season. Now it's like, okay, year 2, like Jamo or bust. And like even national media had like put kind of heat on Jameson, and it was like, what is this kid about? Like, what's going on? And then the offseason rolls through, and then the unexpected happens, and he gets nipped for gambling. And again, the gambling thing to me is kind of, it's crazy. Like, I understand that there's rules, there's regulations that they need to comply to. Like, that's the NFL. But I do think that it was almost like the league making an example of the Lions again in any capacity that they can. But so that being said, like, I'm not bailing because, again, there hasn't been availability, which it's not really good in this league, right? But give him his 6 games. But like week 7, 8, 9, 10, like, we got to go. We got to go. And I pray to God that he gets put into that scheme, and I pray to God that he gets his reps, and I pray to God that he's healthy, and that you know, Johnson works him in the way that he needs to, and that he understands his playbook. Like, it's kind of to the point now where it's like, okay, like, I'm still like pro Jamo, let's go, but like, we got to go now.
He's hurt already though. It's a minor leg injury, but it just, at what point, like, okay, he's not available for this reason, but okay, here's this great reason why. And then he's not available for this reason, but oh, don't worry, there's an explanation. And like, at some point, I'm sitting here with 7 explanations and no games played. Like, I don't care. You can do that all day. Amon-Ra St. Brown had more catches last year than Jameson Williams has had in the last 5 years of playing football.
Well, he was only targeted 9 times.
Whatever mitigating factor is, he doesn't catch passes. He didn't catch. I mean, there's mitigating circumstances. Ohio State had arguably the best wide receiver room like ever, and
yes.
he was. So I'm not saying there's no reason. Like, I could easily make the counter argument. I'm not saying anybody that disagrees with me is absurd or they're crazy. There's times that I think that. Not now. I see the counter argument. I couldn't find an example. Not saying it's not out there. I tried. I really tried. I cannot find an example of somebody that just didn't play for 4 out of 5 years and then like went on to some great career.
Sure.
I couldn't find one
sure.
at any position, not just receiver. I couldn't find one. I'm like, what? Has there been a quarterback that didn't play much, like that played 1 year in college, sat around? I'm sure there's like 7 examples across the league. This is rare for a guy to just not play basically for 5 years. 95 catches in the last 5 years? That's nothing.
So are you kind of like saying, okay, then I don't trust Holmes? Because I think that was a Holmes thing. And
I think it was a mistake, and I think good GMs make mistakes too.
Sure, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. That pick to me was more defensible. I thought he was the best receiver in the draft. And he was, the 3rd or 4th taken because of the injury?
Yes, he would have gone higher.
He was behind Olave and behind Wilson. I mean, Wilson won Rookie of the Year. Wilson's awesome. But at the time, I thought Jameson Williams was the best receiver in the draft. So, but had the injury, obviously. I liked Jameson Williams. He was awesome at Bama. But he ain't out there. He doesn't play.
So that's why I hear you on this. And that's it. Jameson Williams, I think he's the most polarizing player in Detroit sports right now out of all 4 franchises, right?
Yep.
Last year, chalk that up to, we knew what last year was going to be. And then, like I said, improper expectations were set by the fan base. Now this year sucks. I mean, this couldn't have been worse for this to happen to this kid and for this franchise. But like I said, I'm looking you in the face right now. Let's give it till December.
You kind of made the point earlier with the injury comeback. Now, this isn't an injury. This is a suspension. But, okay, week 7 he's back, or the 7th game he's back. That doesn't mean he's going to be ready to roll. I mean, you talked about it with the previous year. Like, there's timing. And I know he can practice, but it's not the same as a game in that you're not just losing him for the 6 games. I think there's going to be some residual, to whatever extent it can be quantified and qualified, some residual negative effect too. It's just a bummer. Counterpoint, if he is as good as we all thought he could be, how terrifying is this offense if I'm going to put the other hat on? Like, I think they can be awesome without him. We've already seen that.
Yeah.
If he's out there and good, maybe not week 7, by week 10, and they're just, I don't know what the bye week falls on, but let's say they're 6-4 or whatever.
I think it's 9 this year. I think it's 9.
I like that.
8,
I like
9.
that kind of like midway point. I hate that like week 4 bye.
Yeah,
week.
we had week 5 last year. I'm
That's
like,
so
what the hell is
bad.
this? Yeah.
Like, shit, guys aren't even tired yet. Fuck that. And the stretch is just longer. The 8 to 10 range is perfect. Anyway, if he's actually good, like the last 7-8 games of the year, 6-7-8 games of the year, I mean, second best offense in the league behind the Chiefs, right?
I don't love the Chiefs' offense at all.
They have Mahomes and they have Andy Reid.
No, I get that.
I don't like them either, but Kelsey, Mahomes, and Reid, that's all I need.
I mean, they were the top. I mean, I don't know if you look at any of Warren Sharp's stuff, like with his analytics and stuff, but
Smart guy, great mustache.
The Lions last year were the top in a lot where it's almost like wild that they missed the playoffs. Like, if you look at everybody, like the percentages, the Lions were up there with everybody. It was always Philly, KC, Cincinnati, Buffalo, Lions.
So you're thinking best offense in the league. Not if he's functional. I mean, if he's great. We're talking what we thought.
I don't know if I'd put them up at. I mean, Goff has to be healthy. Let's say Goff stays healthy.
Yeah, that's a given. Yeah,
but
yeah.
I would put them in the top 5. Yes, absolutely.
They were top 5 last year without him.
100%.
I mean, it's like that's where I get, and I think even if he never comes back, which he's going to, but let's say he takes up golf or something, he finds a passion for cricket. I don't know. We're already better because you have Gibbs and Montgomery on this team.
No, but you hate Jahmyr Gibbs.
I do not hate Jahmyr Gibbs. I hate the pick of a running back at 12. But I think Montgomery's better than Charles. So it's like the whole thing is a clear cut. Charles, I'm an idiot. I'm thinking that I had the Chiefs on my mind. Anyway, I digress. The offense, even without Jameson, is to me clearly better. If he's like what we thought he could be, or even 80% of that. I mean,
and that's what the Lions need so badly is that separator, your speed guy, and he can be one of the best. I think it's just, again, I do agree with your point of like availability and he was
supposed to be a better Deshaun Jackson, and a better than peak Deshaun Jackson is a hell of a player. That's a hell of a projection. Now, the Goff hitting him deep thing, I will not go there. I love Goff. There will be no negative Goff conversations here. But, and no, there's better deep ball quarterbacks. We understand that.
Yes.
But
I also don't like when people say he can't throw the deep ball. Okay.
That's actually been kind of debunked, though. Like, that's that. And
look at that Khalif Raymond play in Lambeau.
Yes, I know exactly the play you're talking about.
Yep.
Wade Fink, if he hears this, which he will, he's definitely listening. If not live, he'll catch it after. Anybody that brings up the Goff deep ball shit, he's got like a binder full of stats. He's like, actually, that hasn't been the case in 3 years. Like, he gets all pissed off. But now, first of all, I don't think it's going to happen. He's a write-off to me. I'm just done with him. I like not to where like fuck him, but I'm completely counting him out, and I'll be pleasantly surprised if he's like even a solid second receiver. I think he's an immature kid. I don't think he's ever going to figure it out, and we are one ankle roll away from this being a total tomfoolery. Like,
I don't know. I agree with you, and I don't know. Like, I think that's why when I say he's polarizing, because so many people have different leashes for him, and like what's left in the tank. It is exhausting.
I just need you to play. And we can keep making the excuses. I need you out there, man. And again, you're missing a third of the year, more than a third of the year. I just want him to play. But so I like the ceiling of the offense if he's out there. So put a button on it. What's the I'm gonna go cliche on you to finish the Lions. What's the outcome this year? Give me a record, Do they win the division? Do they not? And where do they land? Not their ceiling. Like, what's the Natalie Sparbeck prediction?
Oh, God.
You got your Tigers thing on, or your Lions thing on. You can be like on the optimistic side of the response here.
I don't want to go all Campbell and wait 5 minutes to give you an answer about the Lions that can and will, but
you can change your opinion when Jameson Williams announces he's taking up cricket or his toenail hurts or whatever.
No, that kid loves football too much.
Jameson got a weird way of showing it.
Okay, well, you know what? Here's the thing: one of us is going to be right, and one of us is going to be wrong, and that's the wonderful thing about this. And we're going to roll tape in about 2 years. So,
well, you're smarter than me, but I'm going to pick you off on a couple of these. I mean, we've diverted on 9. I'm going to win a couple. I mean, I don't trust him. He's not out there.
That's fine. Okay, so my prediction, geez, I don't even know.
11 wins.
I want to say 11, but I know I maybe should say 10. I'm going to stick with 11 wins. And I think they're going to just maybe miss the NFC Championship.
Okay. Hosting a playoff game?
Yes.
It will be a zoo down there.
I know.
For a Lions home playoff
So I feel
game.
bad for everybody that doesn't have season tickets because holy crap, it's hard to get down there right now.
Isaac, I'm going to find that man and tailgate with that gentleman.
Oh, we're going to have a blast. I hope Isaac is watching, by the way.
Andy, I'm finding you, and I am inviting myself to whatever tailgate. I don't care if you're hanging out in a porta potty. Scoot over because we're hanging out for the home Lions playoff game. I am finding that gentleman.
Yeah.
I will buy the sausages for him. I have to be near that guy. I just want to be in his sort of prism.
He's gonna be eating his wings and his sausage and his pizza, and he's gonna be so happy.
Find the happier person. Well, you might actually compete. You might be like kind of 1A and 1B. You'd be the 2 happiest people. I'd be somewhere on the list. I'd be beneath you guys. I want that shit for myself, of course, but for Andy, Isaac, and like my dad, and like Actually, I lied. I'll finish here with the Lions.
Okay.
What point does Jeff Sparbeck turn into the, oh, right, I'm on board? Or is he going to be to the bitter end? They are in the fourth quarter tied with the ball in the NFC Championship game. Is he still going to be like, they'll blow it, here it comes? Like, at what point is he like, oh, shit, this is going to go down now? What point does he get there? And you can use him as the sit-in for the sort of general curmudgeon out there.
I know.
Describe that one
guy
of the
that's
3.
been watching the Lions for 60 years.
What does that guy need? And we'll use your dad as the example.
I would say an NFC Championship, but not even that. Like, I think my dad is so closet obsessed with his team, but just never. He's got too much pride to.
You think that's what it is?
Oh yeah.
I blame him
He
for the
just
Pistons
loves
lottery
to be right,
situation.
and he loves to tell everybody that it's the Lions.
He put that Pistons 5th pick shit into the ether. Now, that might actually age
mad.
fine because
He was
that,
mad.
that kid looks like he can ball, Asar Thompson. But
We're going to ball with Asar.
your dad was going up to people on the street like, hey, man, Pistons are going to get fucked on that lottery. They're picking 5th. I guarantee you, bro. Like, he was telling anyone
knew
he could
it.
find. And then it happens, and he's just like, I want to, like, shoot myself in the face. And he's like, told you, man. I told you. I'm like, not now. I need 7 minutes to be like just petrified at my future as a Pistons fan. Your dad's awesome though. He was my cigar buddy the other day. I love that guy.
He's a good guy, man.
So
he's a good guy.
We'll bury the Lions topic, not the team. Although I have buried Jameson Williams. I don't think. I mean, he might catch on somewhere else, or he might never be seen again. He's a weird, eccentric guy. I'm out on him. This stuff going on very briefly on our way out the door here with the Go Blue Lexi stuff. I know from our conversation, you were either there for all or most of the
Spaces.
Third Twitter Spaces covering this topic today in various forms. Her first and only that I'm aware of. She said something, and it's a paraphrase, but she said something where, I realized the importance of being a woman in media and, how I've compromised this, and it's so much, harder for us. And that was something that was weighing on her with this whole, Twitter hoax stuff. First of all, I agree. The women in media stuff, like sports media in particular, you're at a disadvantage. Like people are rolling their eyes at you for no reason. Like is that fair as a starting point? Like you're at a disadvantage inherently, right? Do you feel that way?
Sure, but not if you have good takes. I mean,
well, no, you can overcome that, and you have. I think you know way more than I do about this shit. So it's like, but I'm saying the perception is like, oh, like woman talking sports thing. It is a disadvantage, as stupid as it is.
Sure.
Did you take what she did? Because her takeaway, her own self-assessment today, if you heard, and I think it's a fair paraphrase, was she feels she was a bad example, or she feels she betrayed, for lack of a better term, the movement for women in sports media. Maybe a little melodramatic, but like, did you look at that whole thing from that angle at all? I'm not even saying I agree. That was her take. What's your sort of reaction to that? Is she crazy, or was there something?
No, I don't think that she betrayed women in sports, because like I said, if you put content out that's respectful and honest and, truthful, and there's meat on the bone to what you're talking about, and people respect what you're saying, and you're, again, loyalty, right? Like, whatever. I've never really felt that way as a woman doing this. And people have been extraordinarily supportive, but I think more so than anything, and she did a nice job today, like, for the most part. I mean, she's under a lot of scrutiny. I mean, Barstool's involved at this point. So, I don't want to speak on her at all, about what happened, other than that, it's just, the whole thing is so toxic. Like, Michigan fans, like, dude, come on. Like, you win the Big Ten, you're going to the CFP, like, just enough. Like, Michigan State, like, we have our own battles to fight right now. Like, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, like, it's so subjective when it comes to women in sports. And I think everybody has a different experience. And as long as you are honest and truthful to yourself, then you're into your fan base and to your followers, then you're gonna be A-okay.
So you don't think you've seen a lot of like the kind of, because Ann Wright was talking about the in the kitchen stuff, and like, I haven't seen people say that to you. Maybe it's because you're like, so I mean, you are honestly objectively really good. So I don't know if it's like even like those weirdos like won't come out like against you because it wouldn't really go well for them from a content perspective. Like, you haven't really faced that kind of stuff though.
No, I mean, sometimes, like, more on like a national level, if I'm putting stuff out there like about Rodgers or But no, people have been super, super kind to me, but that's because I like to think that the material that I'm giving to people, they enjoy and that they follow and they relish in. And yeah, I haven't experienced that, but I believe in everything that I say and everything. I'm very genuine. Like, hello, you are not going to find me on a burner. Everybody, just letting y'all know.
I thought that was appalling. I've done 3 shows on this in various forms, so I don't want to make this the 4th in 24 hours. But I thought it was egregious, and I think that individual needs a long period and a lot of reflection. The problem is when you get into this boat of what do you want from me, or when is enough, or hey, I apologize. Like, when you're in the opening moments of a sort of individualized crisis like that, take her out of it. Any situation similar, it's the worst possible time to punch back and push back and argue. I think you just kind of have to take it, even if people are a little overly harsh or, maybe even unfair, just for that initial day or two at least. And, I think she's come out swinging, certainly against me. I mean, she kind of attacked me. It's like, I don't think it's the right play. Like, if I were her friend, I would advise her otherwise. Is that like kind of, wouldn't you play that a little bit more reserved?
Oh, I mean, I give her massive props for getting on that Spaces tonight.
Oh, I agree with that part. Yeah.
I don't know what the agenda was, if it was to, really.
It's her side of the story was the framing. Tell us what happened.
100%. But like, I don't know how I would have played it if I was in that situation, but I think, like, come on, everybody in the Twitterverse, like, enough with the burners and like the Michigan State stuff. Like, again, like, we're on such different paths right now as Michigan State football and Michigan football. Like, just worry about your own, man, and like support your own and take care of your own. And like, no one's bringing batteries and no one's bringing whatever to East Lansing. Like, it's going to be Gucci and everyone's going to survive, and you can bring your babies and it's going to be happy times. So, like, I love Valenti. Like, I know a lot of people don't, but just enough. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I disagreed with his doomsday stuff. I didn't think he was threatening anybody, and I think the assertion that he was threatening anybody was absolutely absurd and disingenuous.
People came out today. I think it was Nick Bradley, the Detroiter. He was like, dude, hello, this is his job. Like, this is what he gets paid for. He gets paid for people to tune in and listen. Like,
I don't agree with Nick Bradley on that. I disagreed with Trevor McHugh on this last night at like a 2:40 in the morning Spaces. Things are going well at my house.
Jesus.
Arguing with like a Spaces with like 7 Michigan people, like, hey, motherfuckers, let me tell you about this tunnel thing. Like, I'm a glutton for punishment. But Trevor, first of all, you're in the majority opinion, and so is Nick. So I acknowledge that. I like to say up front, like, I get that I'm an outlier. Mike Valenti doesn't do anything for clicks. He doesn't. He really doesn't.
Yeah, he could. I do. I level with you on that.
He means everything
like,
he says.
He does mean everything he says, and he's super genuine guy, and like he's very like off the cusp. Like he's
not contrived enough. His give a fuck level is way too low to be like, okay, I'm gonna say, look, what's gonna get the masses mad. The guy just had an organic, even in his tone. Skip Bayless, you can see like the wheels turning. You can see the plan. Valenti was just talking.
100%, and I agree with that. But like, where I agree with like Bradley on it is like he is trying to get people to. He's not doing it for clicks. Like he's very genuine in what he says and like his material. But I don't know.
He's the GOAT. Valenti's the GOAT in this town.
Valenti is the GOAT, and that's the thing, which is so great. Like, he's a polarizing character, and that's what every great sports talk radio needs, at least in my opinion, because if there's just too much mediocrity, it's like, okay, well, snooze fest,
Yes.
We'll tune you out.
He's awesome. I think it's an insult. Like, people have, hit me with that, and I'm certainly no Mike Valenti. That's very self-flattering if I were to suggest that. But people have said, like, oh, you're doing what you need to do to drive engagement. Yeah, like content creators think about like what would people like, and I'm not saying there's no content curation sort of in those, in that spirit or along those lines. Like that does somewhat dictate what you might want to do. I've never released anything or said anything I didn't believe or do anything I didn't want to do ever. Maybe I'll sell out. Hasn't happened yet, and I don't think Valenti's a sellout either. I mean,
no, I would never call him that.
He's the man. He means what he says. So I disagree with you, Nick Bradley, but you're awesome.
But again, it's also very, very, very biased. Michigan people are not going to like Mike Valenti.
No.
They're just not. I mean, some of my best friends are Michigan diehards. Like, they're going to find any way that they can to shit on him, which I feel like a lot of, Michigan people do the same to you. Like,
yes. Well, did you see that guy today? First of all, he misunderstood me. It was some random guy that was bombing me on Twitter. It's in my mentions from a few hours ago. And I saw that he lived in Rochester. It's in his profile. And I'm like, oh, shit, dude, you're probably like a mile away. Like, come on over. I was like killing him with kindness. And he's a Michigan fan. And he said, I don't need you. I'm paraphrasing. But he's like, I don't need you ambushing me on the show. Yeah, and I'm like, bro, I wasn't inviting you on. I mean, no offense. Like, I only invite like either, credentialed people I know are good, like you, or, athletes. Like, I'm not inviting you to grab the mic, and I'm inviting you to just come check out the space. Like, I could probably walk to your house right now, or vice versa.
Right.
Like, come on over, man. Trying to be a nice guy. And he goes on to say, like, he's not going to check out my Michigan content because I'm going to ambush these guys. It's like the people. It's really kind of toxic out there, and I've never ambushed any of my Michigan guests, by the way. Everyone loves the experience. I think.
Let's just all be kind going into football season.
Yes,
be kind. I know I'm going to get dummied for that, and people are going to be like, this bitch.
Whatever.
But, like,
if the Lions are 8-2, I'm going to be, like, walking around with no clothes on. I'm going to get arrested.
But I'm even saying, like, Michigan State, like, just come on,
Doesn't
guys.
matter. If the Lions are 8-2, it'll offset the Michigan State tragedy, which I don't think will happen. I think Michigan State's going to be kind of sneaky good this year.
I think so, too.
You agree? I gotta have you back for that topic. Let's do that one next time.
We'll talk.
You down for Michigan State football next time?
Down for Michigan State football.
You're coming back for that one.
Yes.
And then the Lions will be the third one. I gotta have you back.
It's been a pleasure.
Mel Tucker, 0 to 10. Where are you at faith level? Is it one, whatever it was, is it one notch lower than 2021? Have you been swayed big picture? We all know last year sucked. Have you been swayed negatively by what you saw last year? Big picture, are you still at the same level of confidence?
No, give the guy time for recruits, right? Okay, like I think recruiting overall has been a little bit disappointing from what we kind of have expected in his tenure so far, but they're getting it together. Okay, that's the thing. It took Harbaugh 7 years. Why? I understand we gave Mel the bag. I get it. Like, we understand he's getting paid, okay? But just give him a full recruiting cycle. That's all I'm at. Give him, you know what I'm saying? Give him more than, because the COVID year, we always talk about that. Throw it out the window.
Yeah, other than the game at Michigan and Northwestern. Those 2 games I count, but yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
But no, I'm still... Again, maybe I'm just an optimist of Michigan sports, like, because I'm obsessed and we're all starved for championships and stuff like that. But no, like, I do think Michigan State, what is it? I think their over-under is set at 5.5.
No, it's not even. It was 4.5, like juiced, you know, in one direction, like juiced.
4.5.
But they wanted people to bet the over. It was like a minus like 160. The last I saw it was at 5. But it was like then the juice kind of flipped the other way to like where they wanted you to bet the under. So basically, if they're going 6, like I think that's maybe my favorite bet. Like in the Big Ten, I was looking today. I mean, not in the whole country. There's some sexy picks that I like out there across the board. But it's honestly, bias aside, it's one of my 5 or 6 favorite picks in the whole country. I would be really surprised. Like at 5, even if they go 5 and 7, I get my money back. Is this team going to go 4 and 8? I know the schedule's tough, but my God,
4 and 8.
They're going to be worse than last year?
Mm-hmm.
I don't buy it. I like Mel Tucker, and it's not just because I have 3 commissioned paintings of the guy, and you know that'd be a problem. What am I going to do? Like sell it?
Let people keep sleeping. That's all I would say. And I'm not talking about this year. Like this year, it might be a struggle, but like give him a full recruiting cycle. Give him a little bit of grace. Which, like, if you don't want to, if you're off the train and you say Michigan's all laughing, okay, Tuck coming, okay, we've heard it, like we get it.
They're very clever. Do you laugh every time they hit you with that?
Tuck coming, okay, and cool.
When's you are a bowl game? Like East Landfill.
Like, okay, why do you guys care? Y'all are winning. Y'all are winning right now. Go be happy and relish in that. Like, don't shit on your rivalry.
I'm fully in support of kicking your rival when they're down. If I can, I am not a programmer. I'm a rudimentary level computer operator. If I can program a bot to tweet for you and no one would know the difference because you only say the same 7 or 8 things over and over again, do better. And that's why even I'm the one guy that likes Scott Bell. Everybody hates Scott Bell. Even if you don't think Scott Bell's jokes are funny, he makes me laugh. But even if you don't, there's no one else doing what he does.
Yeah.
Like he's the only one telling that joke. Like he's not just going on there, wins your bowl game and East Landfill and Shardy McFarty. Like even if you don't like the game, at least it's an original sport that he's playing. I mean, my God, Scott Bell. I'll be your one supporter in the green camp forever, Scott Bell. I disagree with you on plenty, but like at least the guy's original.
Yeah.
For fuck's sake. I love Mel Tucker.
I love him too.
I'm dying on the hill. I'm with you, Mel. Everyone else is running. I'm staying strong. Natalie Sparbeck, you are awesome. As expected, as predicted. I'm the least surprised person on the planet that you did awesome. I'd love to have you back. Let's do kind of like a more Michigan State-y thing. And
maybe rivalry week. We'll get some people down here.
Oh, you know that's going down. I had Jacoby Woodman in here 4 days before he was in the news for all sorts of bad reasons. And I mean, that kid is... I got so much shit because I said, it's unfortunately for the mean people out there, still out there, I said Jacoby Woodman, other than maybe Kenneth Walker, is the nicest person I've ever met in my life. And then he got suspended like 4 days later. He was one of the, I would argue, lesser offenders, but, you know, I still think he's an awesome guy. But, man, they killed me over that one. It was like that one boomeranged fast. It was with Xavier Henderson, Darius Snow, and they call him Kobe Woodman. I love that guy, too. You want to roll in with Jacoby? Jacoby will do the show again.
Let's do it.
You'll love Jacoby Woodman.
Let's do it.
That guy is...
I'm ready to go.
I can't believe that guy ever got in trouble for anything. He's got the halo over his head. He's, yes, sir. Is this okay? Can I sit here, sir? Is this my water, sir? Aye, Captain. I love you. That guy's awesome. Jacoby Woodman's awesome. Natalie Sparbeck, you're awesome. Ben, Augusta, the great and powerful Oz, you are awesome as well. Eric Williamson, appreciate you. I don't think I'm allowed to say who's sitting on my couch outside, but hey, love ya. Good luck with all that, crap going on down in Birmingham. I can't say anything else. Natalie Sparbeck, Spiro Avenue, thanks. We'll see you next time.